What an insane night of Champions League football we have just witnessed. If you haven't already, as soon as you've watched this video, watch it the whole way through. As soon as you've watched this video, check out the Benfica Real Madrid game. Their goalkeeper, yes, that's right, Jose Mourinho at Benfica, their goalkeeper just scored a bullet header to beat Real Madrid 4-2 with 2 red cards. But the Champions League is the best thing going for me. The amount of drama. Havertz's midfielder scores a 30-yard strike. Bodo Glimt got away to Atletico Madrid and win. Right, Arsenal have just beat Kairat Almaty. Right, Liverpool beat Karabakh 6-0. Chelsea win away in Naples. We won. Somehow, this football club is in the top 4. It genuinely, the Champions League for me is, without a shadow of a doubt, is the best competition in world football. It really, really is. But let me know your thoughts. I'm going to be honest, I didn't get to watch all the Arsenal game. I've briefly watched a longer version of the highlights. What I saw, Gyokeres missed a couple of hounders, but got a goal and an assist. Havertz got a goal and an assist. Mikel Arteta made a number of changes. I think he made something like 9 changes or 10 changes to the team that played at the weekend. I think in terms of the personnel that played, I mean, their defeat against Man United, I believe it was only Ben White that has started both games. And make sure you go down and drop a like. Make sure you check out the Chelsea match reaction on here later. Get over to the second channel and check out Frankfurt nil Spurs too. Make sure you drop a like if you haven't already. The road to 100,000 subscribers is well and truly on. We're about 300 away now from 88,000. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. Let's get the lineups. Let's get into the goals. And I want to talk about, you know, in terms of the players that were good tonight, from what I've seen, Martinelli had a good game. Obviously, Havertz got a goal and an assist. Gyokeres got a goal and an assist, but Gyokeres, from what I've seen, missed a couple of open goals. I thought Mascara was okay. I thought Madueke looked all right. Skelly looked all right. But I know there'll be standards FC and there'll be a lot of Arsenal fans that are unhappy tonight conceding 2 goals against Kairat Almaty. At the end of the day, the only thing that matters is, as I say to a lot of fans, you have just gone 8 out of 8. You have scored 23. You have conceded 4, which is the best defensive record in the competition. I can't believe Spurs and Newcastle were joint second with the second best, and Inter are joint second. You've got plus 19 goal difference, and you've scored the most goals in the Champions League. And as you can see on the right, 5 wins in a row. They have beaten Inter Milan away. They've beaten Athletic Bilbao away. They've beaten Bayern Munich at home. They've beaten Bilbao at home. They've beaten Olympiacos at home. Beaten Kairat Almaty at home. You know, they've been very, very, very good this Champions League campaign. I think Martinelli is their top goal scorer in Europe. And do you know what? Fair play, because look, when you look at the stats, when people will be talking about that second half, etc., Arsenal had to go out there and bounce back. There's a lot of nervous fans, although all the socials, Man United have found their voice again. But Arteta made a number of changes. You know, he brought in Kepa for David Raya, Calafiori back in the 11, Mosquera back in the 11, Gabriel Saliba, Timber, all rested, Declan Rice rested. I know Odegaard came on in the second half. In terms of that Kairat Almaty team, I'm going to be honest, I don't know anyone there. And I don't think anyone knows a lot about that team. But in terms of players that come on, Nkapie come on, Odegaard, as you can see, a lot of people are unhappy with Odegaard recently. But in terms of the players rested, you know, Zubimendi rested, Saka, Trossard, Gabriel, a few players that are out, you know, Saliba, Declan Rice, Marino suspended for this game. But this essentially means they should have a fully fit and firing squad when they play against Leeds United at the weekend. To give you some context, Manchester City started a very strong side, not their strongest, but they went with first team Donnarumma, first team Nunes, first team Aït-Nouri, first team Riley, first team Silva, Cherki, Doku, and Haaland. So they don't have the luxury to be able to rest a certain amount of players because they had to go out there and win. And what's crazy is in the top 8, you've got City, Chelsea, Spurs, Liverpool, and Arsenal. The only English team that did not make the top 8 was Newcastle. Everyone talks about, you know, the Premier League isn't the best league in the world. I don't really know what they're talking about. In terms of people that are unhappy, look at the momentum chart on this game. Before we get into the goals, before we get into the stats, they had a couple of moments and they scored a couple of goals. Arsenal dominated for all of this game. Gyokeres, who has got a lot of pelters this season from a lot of people, I think is now on, if you include tonight's goal and assist and what he's done in the League Cup, I think he's actually on, let me double check, currency. I think he's on 13. Tonight, he got a goal and assist, so he's on, he's got 11 goals and 2 assists this season. Nowhere near what people would have thought, because the transition between I was about to say Spanish League, the Portuguese League, and you know the Prem is hugely different. But Gyokeres starts, gets a goal, gets an assist. The opening goal is a fantastic finish, wraps it round into the bottom corner. Keeper doesn't really have no chance, and they started as they mean to go on. Yes, Jorginho scored from the spot, not the Jorginho that used to play for Arsenal, the Brazilian midfielder. This is the Portuguese left winger who started for Kairat Almaty, converted from the spot. As soon as they got that, you know, Havertz bounces. But you know what? Havertz, the difference between Havertz and Gyokeres in terms of technical ability, I actually think in terms of technical ability, Havertz is Arsenal's best striker. You know, and tonight he didn't start up front. Martinelli again with another really, really important goal, scrapped across the line. Havertz gets in the right place, puts it into the back of the net, and then Martinelli scores. And then second half, or later the second half, going into the second half, early second half, Gyokeres missed a couple of big chances. You know, he had 5 shots today. According to FootMob, he did get man of the match. There is one where the ball goes in, it bounces, and he hits it over the bar. And of course, you know, Martinelli's goal was put across the box. Gyokeres kind of scrambled it, and then Martinelli stumbles it across the line. I didn't get a chance to see Kairat Almaty's, you know, their second goal, but they've bounced back in the right way. They have gone out and beaten 8 teams in a row in the Champions League, and all eyes will now be on Saturday. If they go out and beat Leeds United, that is huge pressure on Manchester City, who will be playing at 4:30 on Sunday against us. Now, Arsenal this month, a lot of people have been disappointed. They've beaten Inter Milan. They've beaten Kairat Almaty in January. They've beaten Bournemouth. They've drew with Liverpool. They've beaten Portsmouth. They've beaten Chelsea. They've drawn with Forest. And as you can see, these 3 results. But these next 8 games or so, like if they get a positive result in the League Cup, they go through to the final. Sunderland at home isn't the same Sunderland at the Stadium of Light. Wigan is a comfortable fixture in the FA Cup. And then in back-to-back fixtures, they play us and they play Chelsea. Now, I'm not going to lie, the Premier League title race as it stands, I do consider Arsenal to still be the favourites. But a lot of people have the opinion now that there is a higher chance of them winning the Champions League. And I'm going to say this about the Champions League this season, because I've seen it hands-on with Spurs. I've seen it in the Chelsea game that I watched the highlights for earlier. A lot of teams come out and attack more. In the Premier League, you are constantly playing against low blocks. How are Tottenham, how are we 4th in the Champions League, but 14th in the Premier League? How are Newcastle up there? And bearing in mind, they've had a tough run of fixtures. They've played Barcelona. They've played Bilbao. They've played PSG. They've played Leverkusen. You know, Man City, just about surviving in the Champions League. Sporting Lisbon finished above Manchester City. How you'd never see a Champions League again where Spurs finish above Barcelona, City, Real Madrid, Inter, and Chelsea. That just goes to show you. But in terms of Arsenal, there will be some fans of 9 that are quote-unquote negative. There will be some fans that are unhappy Arsenal won. I look at it like this. They have been the best team in Europe this season. They've only conceded 4 goals, which at this point, 2 of them were against Kairat Almaty when they already pretty much were through to the next round anyway. All they needed was a point today, and they were pretty much good enough to go into the next round. But they scored the most. They've got the best goal difference. They've won the most amount of games. I don't really, bearing in mind the amount of players they rested, Saka, Gabriel, David Raya, Declan Rice, Timber should be back. Odegaard come on in the second half. But the good thing is, Gyokeres got a goal and assist tonight. Havertz got a goal and assist. Martinelli is back in the goals. And I actually want to look at Martinelli's numbers because in the Champions League, this isn't the same Martinelli that we've seen in the Premier League. In the Champions League this season, he has been Arsenal's, I think he's their top goal scorer. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure he is. In the Premier League this season, in the Champions League, he's got 7 games, 6 goals, 1 assist. In the Premier League, 1 goal in 17 games. In the FA Cup, one game, 1 hat-trick. But look, the most important thing tonight was about them going out there and stamping their authority into the next round of the Champions League. And that's exactly what they've done. We are going to wrap up. Make sure you check out all the content on both the channels tonight. Drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you soon. I'm out.